Mr. Vernall. We're here on behalf of TAA Talk 9. Why did you decide to come to TAA?
Okay, actually, initially it was by accident. I was working in Kuwait and my wife and I decided to leave the country, and we were going to move to a new country, and then around about this time of year, a little bit before, we found that the job we were going to didn't work out, and so we were without a school. And I started speaking to a number of schools in Kuwait about the possibility of joining them, and none of them really I could get a good feeling about the school or about the owners, specifically about the owners actually. And then I came to the English Academy when it was in Jabriya in 2005, and I met Mrs. Al-Sayed, Miss Calder Al-Mudaf, and I really liked the way they spoke and the way they thought and the way they had a plan for their school and what they were trying to do, and really that's what convinced me to come to the English Academy.
What was TAA like when you first arrived?
It was very different from any school that I'd ever worked in, and it was very different from any school I'd really known. I think there are a few things that tell you what it was like. Firstly, everybody was happy, the students and the teachers, but nobody really did very much work, both the students and the teachers. When I did some teaching in my first year just to find out what it was like working with the children and everything, and I asked my classes one simple question. I asked them, what was TAA famous for? And the students told me the school was famous for holidays. Okay, and when I asked a little bit more about what did they mean by famous for holidays, they said the school's very good with its holidays. They always plan the holidays so that we leave early so that the flights are cheaper. And that gives you an idea of what it was like really. Everybody was very nice. But it was very different from anything that we know now. And I think that I had an important lesson. In the first year I was here, I had an ex-student of mine working with us. She was working as an assistant in PE just before she went to university. And she'd come from another school that we'd worked at in Kuwait. And we had a fire drill, and I turned to this student and I said, well, she was a teacher here then, and I said, it's very disorganized, isn't it, this school? And she said, yes. She said it is very disorganized, but you'll easily be able to fix that and it'll become very organized. But she said the thing that's really going to be difficult is to make sure that you don't damage the heart of the school, because TAA has a very special heart and you shouldn't damage that.
What plan did you have for the school?
To try and make it very organized, very efficient, to make it a school where children could come and could do the very best that they could do, regardless of their ability, just to get to the very top of what they were capable of, so their full potential, and to be able to do that, but at the same time to preserve the heart of the school. Because I think that was something that day I learned something very important from somebody who was only about 18 or 19. You know, she taught me something that I remembered always, I think, through the school. Because I think the wonderful thing about this school, the great thing about this school is that it has a very, very lovely sort of feeling to it, which is natural. It's natural. It comes from everything in the school. When it was a good school or when it's a bad school, it doesn't really matter. It has a lovely, lovely feeling and a lovely heart.
What do you enjoy about being a principal?
Whoa. It's a strange thing, because a lot of time when you're a school principal, you actually don't enjoy some of the things you do. Okay, so you don't actually enjoy spending the whole day telling people off, if that happens sometimes. You don't enjoy lots of things not working the way you want them to or whatever. There's lots of things that you might not enjoy, but I don't know. I think with being a school principal, it's weird because when you're a teacher, you can really point out, you can go, I love teaching year 8, or I love teaching year 10, or I think my class in year 4 are the best class I've ever had. And you can have lots of enjoyment and you can get lots of things out of teaching individuals. But when you're a school principal, you don't get that. And I think it came over to me best when I was on holiday once in I think we were in northern Cyprus, and the exam results were due out, and we went to an internet cafe, and the internet cafe wasn't very good, and we spent ages trying to get the exam results. And when we got the exam results, I looked at the exam results and I looked at the school's results. Was the school results better than before, worse than before, whatever? But my wife looked at individual students' results, all the students that she taught in year 11, and my wife was passionately involved with each of those students and each of those grades. And that's what teachers do. They get passionately involved with their students and they really live their students' experiences, whether they be good or bad. And I walked away from it asking this question: what do I enjoy about being a school principal? Because when I was an economics teacher, I had amazing times at results times. I looked at people's results and I'd look at things and think, look at John, he's done what he's supposed to do and he's got A's. Look at Abdullah, he's got a C and he was never going to get a C 2 years ago. Something like that, you know, those sort of things. They were all really exciting. So as a principal, I just think that there's no one particular thing, there's no highlight. As a principal, it's that overall feeling that you have a school that you can be proud of. And I think that's it. I don't know, I'm not quite sure why I'm a principal now after you asked me that question. Maybe I shouldn't be one. Go on.
What was your most memorable moment at TAA?
Wow, now that's another big question because there's been so many. In 10 years I've been here, there have been so many, right? The very first year I was here, the under 15 boys, who were the whole team nearly were in trouble with me every day. Okay, and then we went to Mishraf and they won the under-15s football, and that was a really memorable day. The exam results are always memorable, especially after 3 years when they really started to get good. I think that was always very good, and I think that I once watched a girls' netball match, volleyball match rather, I might get this right soon, basketball match, and at the end of the match it was 2-2, 2 points to each side. They were the 2 worst sides in Kuwait that year. They had not beaten anybody else. Our girls had scored 1 basket and the opposition had scored 1 basket. And at that point myself and the PE teacher for the girls went over to the other teacher and we said, okay, let's call it a draw, because it was at least not a defeat. And the other teacher said, no, it's basketball, you know, we have to have a result. We have to play on until we have a result. And in the next 2 minutes, one of our girls got the ball and scored, and we won the match. And it sounds really weird, but that was like a massive thing. It happened 4 or 5 years ago now, and it's still in my head because I think I was like jumping with joy. It was amazing feeling to see that those girls, I felt very sorry for the other school because it meant that they were going to be the school that year who didn't win 1 single match. But for us, that was like winning a cup final. And I think what it's all about is, I think the highlights are always about when students and teachers really have a good time. And I think that's a highlight. It's smiles, it's people being successful, people being good when they're not usually good, people creating something really good. They're all highlights, you know. It's not necessarily big things in schools. We moved into a nice new building 2 years ago, but it's only a nice place and a great place because of students and teachers. So it's smiles, I suppose, really, for when people do well at anything and at any level. That's the highlights. So the highlights are people's smiles. Yeah.
What will you miss most about TAA?
Oh, everything. Everything.
Describe TAA students in one word.
I think our students in many ways are quite unique. Especially in Kuwait, they're quite unique. They're unique.
How would you like to be remembered?
Kindly, I hope. I think that I'd like people to think that everything that I've done, I've done for the people in the school. Whether it's been right at the very top, Mrs. Al-Saya, who I think has been amazing, or if it's just some little boy or little girl in KG, I hope they'll just think that everything I did for the people.
Is there anything else you would like to share with the readers of TAA Talk?
I think that my wife and myself feel the same about this actually. We're really, really grateful and happy to have had a chance to work at this school. I'm very grateful to Mrs. Al-Saya and to the directors. I've worked very closely with Mrs. Al-Saya and Miss Calder, but at the same time, Mr. Rashid and the other board members have always been very, very supportive of me. And so I'd really like to say thank you to them. But I'd like to say thank you to all the teachers as well, and particularly some of the teachers who've been with me a long time. People like Mr. Bushfield and Mrs. Bushfield, who were here when I came to the school. Lots of people left as soon as I came. They either left because I asked them to, or they left because they didn't want to work with me. But Mr. Bushfield and Mrs. Bushfield stayed there all the time. And a lot of other people, and all the other people who've come afterwards and stayed around and worked really hard. There's a lot of teachers who work extremely hard in this school, and I'd like to say thank you to them. But most of all, I'd like to say thank you to all the students that come through the door and try to be better than they were or they are. I don't mean just everybody just because they're really good, but I mean all the naughty boys who try to be a little bit less naughty, and all the girls who smile beautifully at people every day, and just all the students really. I think I'd like to say a big thank you, because my wife and I have had a wonderful time at the English Academy, and we're really grateful for it. And I'll never ever forget being here. We better stop it there.